Fanzone, united by the game, powered by Moore's World of Sport.
Welcome to Fanzone, your hottest and latest destination for all Zimbabwean sport. We bring you passion, drama, and non-stop action, all happening here in the Fanzone studio. My name is Sips, and what an exciting show we have got lined up. It is a tension in the Warriors camp. Displeased coach and displeased players means that tension is going around. And even on top of that, it's the final match day coming up this weekend in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League. Can Dynamos pull off one more heist and survive relegation? And who will be relegated this year? Joining us as guests on this show, it's welcome back to Star FM sportscaster Simba Chiminya.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's nice to be back on the show.
Yes, Simba sitting in the throne. Things will be different for the next couple of episodes. Steve is away, so we hope he is having a good time. Next to Simba, it is the First Lady of Sports, Yvonne Mangunda. Great to have you back on the show again. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you.
Yeah, lots to discuss. You know, the Warriors, you've always got lots of opinions and analysis, so we'll be diving into that with you as well. And as per tradition, the former Warriors captain, David Kutyauripo, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. And I was waiting for this time to just come, so that we let the people know what is happening in Zimbabwean football.
Yeah.
Behind the scene, yeah?
Lots to talk about behind the scenes. As per tradition, we're going to be talking about the Warriors with you. You always come on our Warriors show. Yeah. Talking about the Warriors, they played against Algeria last week, Thursday, in Saudi Arabia, where they lost 3-1 in what was a somewhat disappointing match. Yvonne, I don't think that's a result that was surprising, but what are your thoughts on that game?
You remember the last time we spoke about this move that they made? Nice wasn't doing well, but at the end of the day, we were so close to a tournament, and there was cohesion in camp. Despite the fact that results were not coming, having also had access to the camp, you could tell that it was a really good vibe within the camp. And then when you change your coach so close to a tournament and you're expecting miracles because he didn't really have a lot of days before the game, all things being equal, without all the allegations coming, even if it was an ordinary situation, it was always going to be very difficult for a result to come. And at the same time, you can't take away the fact that you're playing the fourth-ranked team on the continent. We are 129 on the rankings for a reason. So I think at the end of the day, for me, I'm a realist. So I went into the match, a win would have been a bonus, but I wasn't really expecting miracles. At the same time, it's a friendly. Sometimes I feel like we are so starved of success that even a friendly for us, we want to win.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're trying combinations, because some teams use it to try combinations. Some teams use it for, match practice leading into whatever it's a tournament. But for us, because we're so starved of success, we are like, whoever, even if we're playing Brazil, we want to win. But realistically, if you're to look at the rankings, you look at the record, it's always going to be a difficult match for Zimbabwe when you play a team of the caliber of Algeria, which is a good thing to get, a team of that caliber. Because remember, we've got Egypt in our group. We've got South Africa. These two teams qualified for the World Cup. We've got an Angola, a very good team. So I think the practice was well and calculated well. But the problem was the firing of the coach at the time that they fired the coach.
Yeah. You mentioned trying new formations. Simba, I'm not too sure how much of the game you watched. Watching Navaya did get his start. What did you think of his performance? Something to remember, or do you think he'll get back into the Warriors jersey?
Yeah, when you look at Navaya, is a striker who relies on being fed inside the box. And you look at our team, there was no creativity, and there was no wing play, and also the balls coming through the midfield. So it's really hard to judge him because there was no clean supply for him in that game. And, you look at the formation that was being played by the coach. I think we didn't go much forward in the first half. And, when you look at it, the whole performance of the team, yes, we might not have expected to win in that game, but I thought we were going to lose with some resistance. Look at the goals that he conceded in the first half. So you are playing against teams that are really, compact like Algeria, teams that can really reorganize at every interval. So you concede 3 goals in the first half, and then you are playing at a tournament like AFCON. You go there, you play a team almost similar to Algeria, that is Egypt. So allow them to score 3 goals in the first half. They'll come back with a complete formation in the second half, and it to be really hard for you to penetrate and get a goal. So for me, I was kind of disappointed in the fact that the way that we conceded in the first half. And for Algeria, the last time that we met them, they were number 1 ranked team in Africa, and we drew 2-0. And I thought we were going to play similar, even if we're not going to win, but we're going to show something in that game. And it goes back to the fact that we were not really mentally prepared for that game.
Yeah, I was looking at the updates, David, and I saw 3 goals in the first half. Yo, that was a big shock. Why do you think that was happening? Was it the coach strategies, players just dismantled? Why do you think we're conceding 3 goals in the first half?
I know, in football, a lot of things do happen, right? Like what Yvonne said, we changed the knees and bring in the new Malaysia guy to come and coach Zimbabwe, right? One thing which I think which was supposed to be happening in Zimbabwe, it was continuity. Maybe by taking out knees, we're supposed to give Kaitano Tembo the toms. I don't know, maybe to give him the toms so that
as an interim coach? Or
as an interim coach, or maybe as a full-time, because he knows Zimbabwean football. Now we are going into a tournament like the AFCON, which is coming around in December. And the new coach, he doesn't even know any player in Zimbabwe at the moment. And if you track back, even his tracking record, winning records, they are not so pleasing, especially for me as a former Warriors player. And by us conceding 3 goals in first half, I think a lot was happening, especially at training. People, they are supposed to work on defending, attacking, and even the blocks, they are supposed to be there, because by end of the day, conceding 3 goals in a friendly, playing a club like a country like Algeria, it shows that even in Morocco, a lot is going to happen. If you concede only a friendly 3 goals in first half, what more when you're playing against Egypt, Mo Salah, South Africa? Now they are powerhouse in football, I think, and they are going to do their best in AFCON, because they are playing. For them, it will be like a warm-up games for the World Cup, So they will be coming in guns blazing, all corners, So for us, Zimbabwe, I think sometimes we do things, we make decisions through emotions, and sometimes, the guys who are at the helm, they don't get into other people and ask what's the best for the country, because Zimbabwe, where we are like now, is not pleasing. 129, and you go and look for a friend playing a high caliber country like Algeria. I think if we started from down going up, you see the mistakes which you made. Like now, it's peer pressure for the guy to deliver as well.
But I would argue and say we need to be realistic. And I agree with what David said, to say I feel like that defeat is not a defeat for the players or the technical team. It's an association administration issue. Because Algeria is higher ranked for a reason. And then we dismantled the team. When I say dismantled, I mean already it would have been easier if Nice's assistant was part of the setup. But there was an issue with Kutyauripo, who had been with Nice all this time. And then you've got a team, if you look at even the composition of the team, it was very different from the team that maybe Nice had been using before. And it's unfortunate that the first game, just days into him meeting these players, he has to play them. And then the question also comes, did he choose the team? Obviously not. He did not have enough time to even know who's Jalai, who's Navaya, So you are coming into a setup where a team has been chosen for you, you're meeting these guys at training, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to do miracles. The problem is not with, we can blame him because, he's the coach, we can blame the players, but it's the decisions that are made. Even when they decided to get rid of Nice, because for me, I feel you've already made a blunder. See the blunder through the AFCON, and then you start afresh. Have you seen teams that don't do well at a tournament? They say, this one we've messed up. Now let's start the process for the next one. The next 2-year cycle, the next 4-year cycle, the next 8-year cycle. But unfortunately, they listen. I see a lot of people on social media blaming journalists to say, you're the ones who got Nice fired. No, journalists did not get Nice fired. It was the administration, because the role of journalists is to say, If you're not doing well, you're not doing well, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to analyze it, and we're going to criticize you for it. But if you're a real leader, mugai, I think I said that before. If you're a leader, you need to be firm, you need to be assertive. You don't swing and listen to everything that people are saying. You sit down, then you're like, oh, she's saying this, he's saying this, so I'm going to make moves. Because that decision was wrong timed. If they wanted their Mario to come, he should have come after. Because now, you also have disgruntled players. Because the reality is when a new coach comes, I think David maybe can elaborate on that situation where a new coach comes. You know, some of you are going to fall on the wayside. And it's just weeks before AFCON, before everybody was comfortable, because Nice was saying, I'm going with my people. Remember the discussion with Washington Arubi and Elvis Chipezeze? And he was very firm. My number one is Arubi. And we knew going into AFCON, no matter what performance Elvis does, the number one is Arubi. So there were players in the setup who already knew majority of us are going to AFCON. Then comes a new man at training and makes you feel like you're not going to be in my team the next time we come. You understand? So already you've messed up the vibe of the team. Better if they had gone as they were, win, lose, whatever would have happened at AFCON, then we regroup after. So when people criticize, they're not forcing you into a decision. They're forcing you to think, but they're not telling you fire Nice now. So even for myself, I'll say I criticize Nice for his performance, but I didn't expect Zifa to fire him at that moment. It was opening eyes to say, look, this guy is not doing as well as he should. But they should have seen the process through. Because now it doesn't work. Now you've got a really bad situation with only one game to play before we get into the real crunch of the AFCON coming.
Yeah. Yvonne, you mentioned that, playing Algeria was a bit unrealistic, especially with where we're ranked and the timing of the new coach. But a counter-argument for that is for maybe the coach is to see, if I put you guys up against a good team, crucifixion by fire, who's going to rise, who's going to fall. I think you get a better idea of who actually has the grit, the skill to play at the level I want to play.
No, the friendly was okay. As I alluded, you're playing Egypt. So playing Algeria makes sense. But I am saying you then make a decision to say you spend the whole year preparing with this one coach. Yeah. He's understanding his players. He's got to take, they already had a deficiency in where Texua Chiragui is already gone. He's trusted man, right? And you brought in Caetano and his experience. It would have been better even like he's saying maybe to try out Caetano. But I would have liked after the AFCON. We see this cycle through because you don't want to disturb the rhythm. So the coming in of Caetano was good. You assist Nice. By the time you finish AFCON, you're like, Mr. Nice, it's okay. I don't know, because I was expecting he wasn't going to go through the first round. I don't know, by some miracle, maybe he was. Then you start afresh. Because at the end of the day, our life doesn't stop at AFCON Morocco 2025. There is life after. We can start afresh. We can try new things and just write this off. There are times where you write things and say, this was a disaster. But when we start afresh, let's do things right.
Yeah. David, I think I kind of already know the answer you're going to say. What are your expectations for AFCON? If Zim, the Warriors, were to have a good AFCON this year, what does that look like for you in terms of results or maybe goals or whatever it is?
Truly speaking, for us, like Yvonne is saying, right? Let's just take it as something else because we are not expecting a lot. Because these guys, they've never delivered anything for us when they go to the bigger tournaments. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So, I myself, if we win maybe one game, it will be a bonus, to be honest with you. Because the new coach who is coming in, he has his own philosophy. And the way he understands the Zimbabwean players is different from Nice. You get what I'm saying? So, going there, like now, as the main man leading the nation, as a number one gaffer, with the way he's doing things at the moment, I don't see us winning a game, to be honest with you, because the guys, they are not trusting him. Maybe he's a military guy, like what we are reading in the newspaper, seeing on social media that he's fighting with the guys. By the end of the day, you can't fight your number one goalkeeper like Washington Arubi. Has been in this business for a long time. He knows if he makes some mistakes, he knows that today I have messed up. What's next? It's better for me to wake up tomorrow and be a better person, right? A better player. Same as Jalai, he's still coming up. He's a youngster, but the way he interacts with the guys, I think it's negative. Because by the end of the day, these guys are the ones who are going to do the job for you. If you criticize them in public, it's something else. They won't play for you. By the end of the day, us as the 12th men will come on you. Like me, especially if I see things which are not going well, I'll come on you. Like what I did to Nice, I think when I was here, the program, I said it, that it's now 18 games. The men won 2 games, right? And the Ziva is still with him. Okay, fair or fine. They know why they are keeping him. Like now, this guy, 1 game, conceded 3. And when I was looking at this record, when he was coaching Malawi, right? I think 30-something games, I don't know how many he wins, right? And now, we go again to the Ziva pod. They bring someone, we are coming from the knees, now we are going to the nose, to the elbows. What are we saying? By the end of the day, what are we saying? We have moved something like maybe 10,000 steps ahead. Now we are going 15,000 back. What are we doing as a nation? These guys who are at the helm, they are supposed to wake up by the end of the day. If they are appointing these guys, it's not a matter like just pick somebody because someone told you to pick him. Or maybe they have something which they are getting behind, which we don't know. Because these guys, they're just coming here for holiday. To take the money from us, they go where they go. Even if you fire him, he doesn't even care by the end of the day. But what I was saying when I was here before, I said, we have good examples, right, in Africa. We have Sis, who was coaching Senegal. He was given the rope for a long time that we want this guy to do better, right? Let's give him an 8-year contract. And look what he did. He did exceptionally well for the nation, even if he's to step down. But people, they will keep on talking about him because he did something. He took this team from point A to point B. And they won AFCON, if I'm not mistaken. It was in Egypt, right? And he was at the helm. But for us, we don't trust our own. Why? I don't even know. We think that if we bring someone from foreign, he's the best. No, we have the best here, but it's only that we don't appreciate what your fellow Zimbabweans do as the leaders. What do we don't want to see David going up. What we want is to see David on the ground floor so that he comes to you and beg every time, which is wrong. Like now, I was talking to Nomin Mapeza sometime last week. I told him, me, I call him Dara, and people, they always say we look like we are brothers, right? And I told him, you know what, Dara, what I think, if I was the Ziva president, I was going to put you at the helm. Move with the team. Because you've been there. And you know these guys. What you want, and some, they know you. What you want. Of course, people might say, you are too harsh in certain ways. But by the end of the day, that's you. We can't change you. We have the guys who coach in Europe, right? They always provoke sometimes the other coach. Sometimes they fight with the players. What he wants is a win. Because by the end of the day, these players, they play for you. And your CV will go up. But with this guy, even for me to mention his name...
But I think it's also got to do with fans as well. We have an inferiority complex when it comes to local coaches. And we're so easy and so fast to say remove him. It's the same thing that happened with Tapera, same thing that happened with Mapeza. But with Nice, we were saying, let's be a bit more patient. But what I think is, this decision was so rushed because they needed a coach when they had fired Nice. An association that is organized, even the day that Nice was fired, we should have even been told who's in the interim, what's going to happen. But there was no plan in place publicly. But at the same time, I feel when you, like he said, he talks about Cisse, we can even talk about Hugo Bros, right? As an association, when you make a decision to say, this is the person we're putting on the helm, and we've got a long-term plan, you should also know that with that long-term plan comes a lot of strife, comes a lot of negativity. But if you stand with your man, if South Africa had not stood with Hugo Bruce, they wouldn't be going to the World Cup. Because a lot was said, to the point where it was so toxic in South African soccer streets. But they stood by their men because they had a vision. We give an example, even when he talks about Nomen Mapeza, when he was at FC Platinum. When he came, he was given a 4-year plan, in which by the 4th year, he should win the title. And it started with first season, top 4, top 3, top 2, until the season that he won his league was the season that he was supposed to win the league, right? Why? Because you come in, your first season, you are adjusting. You're getting combinations. Like now, remember when Nice came, and he didn't know these players, and they chose the team for him. But he spent this whole season. We're now seeing him at football matches, at teams' trainings, and all that. So he was now starting to get to know the players. So even no matter how, even if Mario was good, does he have the time to be able to pick the best? Does he know these players? Is time on our side? Those are factors they were supposed to think about. Who knows, maybe Nice could have put a miracle. I personally didn't value what Nice was bringing to the national team, but my bone of contention is, if you stood with him all along and you're only 2 months away from a tournament, see it through. Then we can start afresh. Then we can be able to say, okay, fine, let's have a 4-year plan. Are we trusting Caetano? Are we trusting this person? Are we trusting this person? And then we start having a proper plan for the future, in which you know there will be criticism, there will be a lot said. But if you are not a football person, you are not a football person. And that will show in how you make decisions that are rushed, decisions that are people-pleasing. Because those positions like Zifa are not for those that are grandstanding and people-pleasing and following where the crowd is going. It's for people that are assertive and firm.
Because by the end of the day, before we close this, right, if you look at the technical team which we have for Zimbabwe, it's too thin. By the end of the day, look at the countries, what they do. They have goalkeepers coach, they have defenders coach, they have midfielders coach, they have strikers coach, right? And they have someone who analyzes the training sessions by the end of the day. But for us, if you look, there is Caetano, there is the head coach, there is a fitness trainer, and who else? Team manager. Maybe the 4 of them, right? So how are you going to help the guys? Because Caetano, he's an assistant. The gaffer obviously will be the one who is dictating the pace. But by the end of the day, if now we have these guys which I'm talking about, it becomes easy for you. That's why you see it in Europe. When those guys they are moving, coming from the tunnel, you think maybe these the guys who are going to play football. But it's a technical thing. You get what I'm saying? Zimbabwe, we supposed to learn by the end of the day. I've never seen this happening in Zimbabwe. To find out a defender's coach, to find out a midfielder's coach, strikers coach. Like now, me, I'm so pissed off because by the end of the day, I'm a former footballer. I'm now into fitness, but I've never heard my name being mentioned that David is supposed to come and be a fitness trainer, because I know what these guys want and I've been there. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Now we find some other guys who are coming from Norway. We just see them now. They are the fitness trainers of Zimbabwe. What the hell? Where is this all coming from? We don't even know. By the end of the day, like me, I'm one guy who wants to be there because I am a qualified fitness trainer. I'm a qualified coach as well. I hold badges. Yeah. By the end of the day, I can put an input which can help us to go forward. Some players, if they do see a former player being part of the technical team, they will smile because they know even if when you're talking to them, they will understand you because you've been there. But the problem with Zimbabwe now, we only put one face, which people they recognize. Then that's it. By the end of the day. So, Mr. Mugwizi, I'm arguing you, big man. You are the man who is on the helm at the moment. Can you do us a favor by doing like what I'm saying at the moment? Because we want to see our nation going forward. We want to see our nation winning games. Those things they are a little bit tight, but by the end of the day, if you try as the head of the family, the kids, they will see that the papa is trying, mom is trying. What are we supposed to do? Is to put effort so that we make this thing happen as a family. But by the end of the day, if you go your own way, like if you don't listen to other people who are into football, who else do you want to listen to? You can't say you play football, we are leading football, then you go, of course, fine, rugby is a sport, then you go and start talking to the president of rugby. Maybe he doesn't even know about football. What are you saying? Come to the people who understand football. They will help you. You understand? Your achievement is my achievement as a person who is at the helm. But at the end of the day, if you are big-headed, this is what happens. We come on podcasts like now, we hammer you by the end of the day because they're not doing enough for the nation. We want our number one team to be up there like where it was before. Look at the time when Fabish was here. Look at the time when Westerhoff and all the other coaches who were here. But now look where we are now. 129. And now we go and play a team which is number 4 in Africa. And you expect miracles. Never, Mr. Magwizi. Never.
Well, there's so much to talk about. Let us know your thoughts and opinions on the Warriors. Zif, are they doing things correctly, incorrectly? Let us know what you guys have thought. So we're looking looking ahead to the Warriors in AFCON, how they will do. But we also had Agama FC, the head coach and the president, and we looked ahead to their Castle Lager 2026 the Premiership debutant side and what their hopes and achievements will be and aspirations. So let's cut across to that interview. Yep, some big shoes to fill, and even bigger shoes to fill as they go into the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League 2026. It's representatives from Agama FC, the president, Malvin Moyo. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, and you?
Yeah, I'm great. Happy to have you guys on set. It's great news. We're going to be talking about some of the expectations for next year and what's to dive into. And the man sitting next to Malvin is Paul Chimalizeni, the head coach of Agama FC. How are you doing today, Paul?
I'm good, and you, Sips?
Yeah, I'm great. Happy to have you guys on set. Exciting news and exciting guests. How did you feel over the weekend when you heard that Agama FC is getting promoted?
Yeah, I felt great, overwhelmed, because it was good news when we heard that Ngombe lost to Moors, and we knew we were going to win it because we've been consistent. There was consistency and self-belief. That carried us to the championship.
So even on the last day, you guys played FC Odin, delivered the goods, a 2-0 win. You knew that, or you had a feeling that Moors were going to upset Ngombe.
Actually, Sips, what we did, we just played our game. And we knew we were going to win it.
Yeah.
Because with the quality of players, and with the way we were playing, and the self-belief I told you before, and consistency. If you are consistent, we played 23 games. We did not lose any game. So that alone showed that we're in for it. So that is what carried us to win the championship.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that this year is probably one of the toughest, Northern Region soccer league, Northern Region leagues, because there was the competition. There was Golden Eagles, Black Rhinos, Ngombe. Tell us about some of the stiffest competition you faced in the league.
Yeah, with my experience of Northern Region, of all the times I've been there, so this is close to 20-something years, coaching Northern Region, being promoted in Premier League, getting back to Northern Region, this was one of the toughest. It wasn't easy. And you could not sleep, to be honest. Strategizing, what's next, what are we going to do, I got my one. But Isuzuka, Takaramba, no, we'll make it, guys. I kept on telling the guys, no, guys, to know we're in a championship. And I even told my President Msachka, we're going to win the championship. And we've done it. So it was because of self-belief and hard work.
Yeah, hard work and self-belief definitely does come to the picture, because you guys made quick work of Northern Region, just 2 years in the Northern Region and already promotion. Tell us a bit about the timeline, those 2 years, building up the team, building up the confidence. Was it an easy process, a long process?
No. It wasn't easy. Winning championship is not easy. We worked hard for it. And I want to attribute this championship to teamwork and oneness, one love. Worked as a team, showing one love, one spirit. And that is what carried us to win this championship.
Okay. And looking ahead to the season next year in the Castle Lager PSL, a lot of teams take different approach when entering the PSL. You saw Scotland this year, they recruit a lot of players. Moors FC stuck with a lot of the bulk from Division 1. What's your sort of vision? You're recruiting, staying with your team, or you're going to strike a balance between the two?
Yeah, it's the norm. Every team when they got promoted, you beef up the team. But in our scenario, our team we got quality. It's not a wholesome change. Definitely, we're going to add 1 or 2 to bolster the team, to strengthen the team, but not overall, because we have good quality. You see, when it's like if we have seen it, we have won the championship, so it means we've got quality. And the competition in Division 1, Northern Region Division 1, there's stiff competition, my friend. Kwakaipa. Saka wanamchona mchiwina championship ka. It shows we have got quality. I kept on telling my guys that you guys are quality. You are quality. And they believe that they are quality, and we have conquered the league. That's what I can say.
Yeah, and Coach, we have seen my teams that have been coming from the Northern Region. Ngezi Platinum, Simba Bora, you're also there. Now Scotland, we saw what Moors did. But when they come in, Barukuwe Wachikukidza, they be gunning for the title. So in your case, you have also come in from the Northern Region. Are we going to see a similar situation whereby getting to the Premier League, Agama going for the title, or going for the honours?
No. Our first port of call, our mission is to survive the relegation. I know, and I'm confident that we're going to survive. And our target is to end up in top 10 so that we survive. Then we conquer the following year. Definitely we'll do that.
2027, Agama, the Premier League champions.
Definitely.
So you're looking to survive next season. It's going to be great to see how Agama fares. But to you, Mr. Moyo, obviously promotion is great, but also comes with my challenges, my nets. A lot more work has to go into it, logistics, players, salaries. Is Agama FC ready for the financial demand of being in the PSL?
Yeah, sure. We are ready. Unoziva vanhu vanofunga kuti Agama ka ndeyangu ndiri ndega. No, that's not it. Agama ndeye community. Kana chiti community ka nditaura Mt Darwin isewo. Anditika tine mabusinessmen vari Mt Darwin vanosupporta Agama. Saka Agama zvayakaita manje vanhu vanomubvunzo mukuru kuti iwe unozvikwanisa sei kuti ungasupporta team kubva D2 D1 from social D2 D1 premier uri wega and sponsor Agama ndiri ndega. We've got a lot of businessmen in Mt Darwin support Agama. You find kuti umwe anoita sei anobvisa mari yechikafu chevakomana, umwe anotipa fuel yekuenda kumabhora, tine vamwe anotobhadhara winning bonus nemasalaries, koita accommodation, zvese tiri kungopuhwa nechi. Bo zvakatika kuti Agama ifomewe takatanga tiri social league. Saka tiri social league vanhu vakanakirwa nebhora. Because you find it tatora umwe maplayers vakaita sana Balakasi vaitotamba mD1 vachizotamba kusocial league. Kusanganisira na Joseph Tulani vaitouya kusocial tichitamba nawo. Uri kuona? Saka vanhu vakabva vanakirwa kuti maplayers emupremier vari kuya kuno kuMount Darwin. Ndobva vagara pasi mabusinessmen emuMount Darwin vakati no, isu panzvimbo kuti tirambe tichiconcentrate nesocial league ngatibuilde chino one tofoma team yatinopinza muD2 tipinde mupremier league, you see. So vanhu ivavo ndo vanoita sei vanongonitambisa pafront kuti aiwe chionekera president takuitawo president because vakanakirwa nemamanejeri andaiita timu yandanga ndinayo musocial league. Vakabva vati pamateams eseka I think this guy ndanogona kuti manejeri timu yatinoda kufoma handitika. Saka mabusinessmen vanosupporta zvisingaiti vekuMount Darwin. Tine maminers kuMount Darwin, tine vanhu vane mahostel, vamwe vane mabhazi. Saka Agama inongopuhwa necommunity. Don't worry about that. We are prepared. We are ready. Yeah. So takangoita mudivision 1 we are the champions. Mudivision 2 takatamba hatina kana 1 game ratakajiwa guys. Takapinda muD1 tisina kana 1 defeat. So pese patangotsika be careful. Handi muri kuona sina ngire logo redu re gondo. Tinoti gondo harishaye.
Iro zita rekuti Agama rakambobva kupi?
Agama. Yeah, zita rekuti Agama ka ndainzwa vazhinji vachiti mimi ndiri mafriends vakawanda vanenge vachifollowa tanza mimi team yenyu inonzi Agama, why logo renyu mune gondo imimi mozvifambisa sei? Tikati iwe chinonzi Agama chi? Zvikanzi Agama ka reptile amene uchiti mareptile chimwe musoro mutsvuku chichi tokaona kuti zvanzi Agama. Akati no isusu hatisi ka reptile. Agama is an abbreviation. Handitika Agama is an abbreviation, not yaika reptile yaika dzvinyu chacho hatisi madzvinyu istiri makondo handi takutaura gondo harishaya. Saka iri abbreviation ka tina A handiti yeah A stands for aspire. Handi chinhu chakatogarwa pasi. Ukaona Magama hatizodi kuzotaura zvodu chi since vakanditi iwe usataura iwewe chichionekera iwe tina vanhu vakawanda vari kumashure ndobva wawirana vakati ngatiti A aspire, then G grit, tine umwe A futi action arikushauti action wapinda kuti papewa. Isu tinoti isusu hatidi vanhu vanotaura chete, toda kutaura nekuita handiti yeah. Then tikati toda kuenda mupremier league tinotoita zvatinotaura saka tinoda action. It's a must. then tobva tanda pana
M-
pana M, right? Master.
Master, you have to
Anditika,
master
you have to master
the art.
the art. Anditika, saka kuti umaster the art unofanira kunge uri aggressive. Saka A yokupedzisira akamirira aggression.
Varimba.
Anditi jo Agama
Agama.
kwete karepitayo. No.
And you spoke about Mt Darwin, the community there. You've also got a nice stadium. It won't meet PSL standards, but is there any work being done there, or we have to play a couple of home games away from home?
Yeah, right now titori equipment iri kutodzika kuMount Darwin ikoko kuti tange kutogadzira ground. Tinofara tatova netuma zvinochera zvimadhoza magreda zvatosvika panzvimbo. So ndinoti inini I think tinongova nechi 2 to 3 months tichigadzira ground redu. I promise pa 2 to 3 months tinenge tapedza. Then tiri pa 2-3 months zo tichatsvaka zviri kwachaita sei kwatinogona kusana kutambira magames edu. I've got a lot of friends vanokwanisa kuita sei kutipa magrounds. Ndine mafriends muPSL, saka I don't worry about that, we are covered.
You're covered.
So, capacity yekuti muruda kuti ground renyu risvike pacapacity 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 15,000 papi.
Ngatitaure between 5 and 10,000. Between 5 and 10,000.
Alright.
Yeah.
Saga Mono Tamba Pa what's an eye? Maybe.
Yeah,
What's an
sure.
eye? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Simba had speculated that.
Yes, and ipapo Mr. Moyo tinomboona vanhu vanenge vachipinda muPremier League kuti vanozoda kugadzira stadium and also varira kuita beef up squad, varira kutry kumaintaina kuti varambe vaine status yavo muPremier League, but chinozonetsa dzimwe nguva inenge iri nyaya yemari, but stability yemari yeteam yekuti inokwanisa kuti uku iri kugadzira stadium, uku rinotamba magames, because you'll be playing home away from home every weekend, kuti zvinobalansika here looking at mamiriro akaita umwe dzenyu.
Yeah, ndakutaura kudhara kuti zvinobalansika. Ndataura kudhara kuti zvinoita because vanhu vatina vakomana it's a community thing. Vanosupporta chinhu chavo. Tikazoti chinhu chedu tinogona kungozobuda muti agarawa naBuju apa. Kuti pakuti chinhu chedu ndeva.
But titarisa ipapo tambotaura nacoach on the field of play matargets avo, but imeme president the team matargets enyu tichipinda muna 2026 in Premier League.
Yeah, coach vane maonero avo, but ininika tinotochida kana vana Scotland vakwanisa kupinda vakachitora kwese tinotadza nei. Handiburi kuona Scotland yakapinda mudivision 1 last season.
Yes.
And havana kugara vakabva vatoita sei vatoenda kuPremier, vapinda muPremier ndobva vatosvika vakaita sei vakachitora futi. Handitika saka it's possible pangoita difference kuti takaita zvedu 2 seasons tiri mudivision 1, but takatozviona kuti dzabva kuna Scotland zvinoitika izvo, saka kwatiri kuenda ikokoka tasvika titochitora.
And pamotaura nyaya yekuti pazhinji pamwe pacho tinogona kuona kuti panoitwa some changes emasquad nechi ende kuchiunzwa mabig name players. Imi mune tarisiro here yekuti 2026 tinge tichiona maplayers akawanda mahombe achienda kuAgama.
Ipapo ya maonero angu ininika handifungi kuti tichaita machanges mahombe, because vakomana vatinavo ka equality vanotamba bhora, vanotambira bhora rimwe rananga singafungidziri pabhangeti apa da manga muri komkomaka. I tell you kana mustudio maitiza muchitotevera Agama ini vakomana tinavo equality, plus tagara tine vanhu vane experience muPremier. Tina Chibalakasi, vana Grey Kufandada, tine vafana vakaita sana Clopas Kapupurika, takatora chitotamba kuBotswana, anga ari kuNico United. Tinana vana Chris tine quality mukoma zvokuti team yedu hatichinji stereki. Togona kungoedzawo 3 or 4 maplayers, but team yedu yakanaka.
That's good. So you guys have been promoted into the PSL. There's going to be a big community and they're going to be the youngsters looking up to Agama. Are there at the moment any plans, or maybe is there an academy being formed in Mt Darwin to bolster the whole football community in Agama, so that one day they can all feed into Agama FC?
Yeah, sure. Tirikutoplana kuti next year tinenge tatova neacademy, because chatiri kuda kuita kusimudzira talent mumatch central. Munoona kazhinji match central inzvimbo inongoteererwa pasi. Takwanza ona achitaura zvikanzi mungasi mukombe uchienda kumusha, mungasi mukombe uchienda kumusha. Isusu chishuvo chedu muMt Darwin ndechekutora vekumusha ikoko tovapawo chance yavo. So we are going to form an academy yakanaka. Yeah. So kuti muchatovaona vakutotiza kuno kuHarare kuenda kumusha. Ivo havafanira kurira muHarare vane belief yokuti kumusha uko kwakaita sei kwakadhakwa. Aniti. Saka toda kuvagadzirawo kuti vazive kuti shuwa bhora unokwanisa kutorarama. Kudhara taingudzwa isu kuti anzi education is the key. But mazuva kana sporting iri kuraramisa futi vanhu. Saka tine vana vanogona bhora zvisingaiti vari kumisha kwasiri kuita sei kuoneka. Saka tichavaisira academy, then tinoda futi team inenge ichifidha musenior team sezvakaita vana Moz. Ndakaona vakomana veMoz vachitamba patakatamba navo. I tell you, it was one of our toughest game. Takaona fana vanotamba bhora rakanaka strike. Saka vakadzidziswa vachiri pasi. Havanetsi. Vanoziva zvavanongoita sei, zvavanongochita. Vari easy kuadapta kuma-conditions anenge aripo panguva iyo. Zvasiyana nekunotora madhara yaya ekuti anzi vane mazita. Anotora kuti ivo atodza coach zvokuita. You see? Iwo coach kuti aiwa vaifana kumira apa anoti aiwa mudhara anoti ndakakochiwa naMenoni wakabva kuPortugal vanonyanya kuziva bhora strike kwarakatangira. Inini bhora rinoitwa so saka madhara yaya ina ndanzi kuvafarira akata kuita zvebhora. Tinoda ma-young stars.
Yeah, that's great. And back to you, coach. In the PSL, you're going to be playing against some big teams, obviously, my Giants, Caps, Dynamos, Highlanders. Are you excited for that challenge?
No. I cannot say I'm excited of that challenge. Well, I've been there before. There's nothing special about those teams.
There's nothing?
Nothing special. I've beaten them before. We played against them before. So I'm going there without no pressure, just like another game. We'll be just playing our game just like what we've been doing in Northern Region. Nothing special. I think that's what I can say. Because I've got quality. We can surpass their quality. I'm sorry to say this. I'm saying, but as a coach, I must. So, no pressure. No pressure at all. I can assure no pressure.
Yeah.
You see, I've got my captain here. He's seen it all. I've been with him in Premier League with Simba Bora. And he's seen it all. We've won so many championships in the Northern Region. And last year, previously, I won the Premiership, the big one, with Simba Bora. Maybe you're aware of that?
Yeah.
So, no pressure.
No pressure.
Thank you. No pressure, honestly.
Yeah, well, that's some fighting talk from Agama FC, guys. We're so excited to see what you'll be doing in next year's season. Moyo, wish you all the best for the financial side, the management side of the club, and obviously for you, Paul, your players and how they fare and your strategies. So that's Agama FC, guys, and we'll be wishing them all the best in next year's Castle Lager Premier Soccer League 2026 season. Yes, as we head into the final weekend of the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League 2025 season, it's just one prediction left. Remember, Simba is at the top with 19 points. Can he close it off? All he has to do is do the basic maths and he should be home and dry. There's also one last final weekend, guys, of football, and that also means relegation. We got some good relegation battles here. Manica Diamonds versus Bikita Minerals. Simba, whoever loses this match essentially will be relegated. What are your thoughts and predictions for this match?
I think it's going to be really difficult for quite a number of teams. There's those two teams, but I think it's going to be also something for the Eastern region, because you look at the teams that are there and there's a danger that you're going to have more teams, actually 3 teams from Eastern region being relegated. Either it's going to be Manica Diamonds, Bikita Minerals, Greenfield, Triangle, because Bikita Minerals versus Manica Diamonds. Either one of them that loses is going to go down.
Yeah.
And then you've got Greenfield Triangle. Either one of them is who going to lose is going to go down. So it's going to be really, set for the Eastern region that they're going to lose some of the teams there, and it will be poor for them, particularly when we are going into next year when there is talk about the National First Division. And when it comes in, you know very well the teams that have been dominating, that the teams are from the Northern region. Just look at the teams that are in top 4 right now. They are from the Northern region, and the teams that have won the league title in the past 3-4 years, they are also from the Northern region. So when it comes to this relegation battle, it's going to be really difficult for those teams. Manica Diamonds have been doing well of late. Of course, Bigita Minerals are stubborn, but I don't see them giving much trouble to Manica Diamonds, because when you look at Manica Diamonds player for player, that's when the experience comes in, as opposed to the Bigita Minerals, because they've got youngsters. Same thing that is going to happen again to Greenfield versus Triangle. Of course, it's everyone's game, but Greenfield are at home, and it favors them, and a win for them means that Triangle are going down.
Yeah. So I want to have a bit of fun with you, Yvonne. So we already know that Kwekwe has been relegated. Who are the other 3 options? Your possible predictions at the end of Sunday. Once Sunday 5 o'clock hits, who will be relegated?
I don't want to anger the 7 million, so I'm not going to talk about the 7 million. But I think what Simba said. Over the years, it's been proven like the weaker teams are the Eastern region teams, the teams that get promoted. You see even the ratio of the teams that come from the Eastern region and go back. So like Simba is saying, I'm expecting the Eastern region teams to go back home because I think it's going to be very tight, because you look at Dynamos playing FC Platinum. FC Platinum haven't been at their best, so the potential is there for Dynamos to win.
Yeah.
And the gap that is there within the relegation zone, you see some of the teams, even a draw won't be enough. So ideally, you don't want a team like Triangle, who are in the final of the Chibuku Super Cup, to be relegated. I think you've been in that situation with another city where they were fighting in the Chibuku Super Cup, but at the same time they're fighting relegation at the same time. So I feel, for me, from a football point of view, I feel like the weaker teams come from the Eastern region. So it's going to be a tight one with the Eastern region teams.
Yeah. David, as Yvonne had pointed out, you've been in a sort of similar situation. Triangle, they're into the final of the Chibuku Super Cup, yet could possibly be relegated. Do you think that the Chibuku Super Cup next weekend, that will have a positive effect on this weekend's game against Greenfield?
You know what, I don't see them going down. I think Bikita might go down, because by the end of the day, these guys are being motivated being in the Chibuku Super Cup. You know, even when I was playing for Harare City 2014, it did happen to me. I was the captain, and things were not looking good for us. But by the end of the day, we just told ourselves that, guys, you know what, yes, fine, we are in the Chibuku Super Cup final, playing against the FC Platinum. It's another game. We'll get there when the time comes, right? What we want to focus on now is the league. This is our last game, and we were playing against Chicken Inn. I remember it was a tough opponent. Clemens Matao, my former roommate, used to play, and I was afraid of him on that day. And you know, if things want to happen your way, it can happen your way, right? We managed to beat Chicken Inn 1-0 in Rufaro. Osborne Mkuradari, he had missed a penalty, but after some minutes, William Manondo brought in a delivery from the left side. Osborne Mkuradari, the same guy who missed the penalty, he scored for us. Then we had to win 1-0. So this can happen to Triangle. They are, like what I said before, they are being motivated with the final. So I'm very sorry for Pikita, because by the end of the day, what we want in our Premier Soccer League, we need teams with who are financially stable and who have football people. The problem why all these teams which are coming from the Eastern, they are going back. Sometimes the way they are running football is the way they are running in the company. Yes. You get what I'm saying? So that's why you see they are struggling. But at Triangle, they have seasoned guys. Kamsoko is there, and some other guys who used to play in the Premier Soccer League. I think the problem is centered on the administration, because by the end of the day, you have the personnel, and the player is being motivated with money. If there is no money, even if I'm big like David Kutyauripo, I can't play for peanuts because I have a family to look after. You get what I'm saying? But for Manika now, I'm quite surprised, because this team was well funded, if I'm not mistaken. For them to be where they are, is it about changing the coach or whatsoever? We don't know. You get what I'm saying? Then for Kwekwe, obviously, it was an obvious case for them to go back.
The poor child.
The poor child. Because by the end of the day, sometimes, if someone comes and say, Dave, I have $2, when I know that I don't have $1 in my pocket, what am I supposed to do? I'm just take risk. Take the $2, put it in your pocket, so that your family survives. You get what I'm saying? But now if you say, I don't want these $2, and you don't have any money in your pocket, this is what happens. Central region, right? It was from Central, right? Being coached. And also they changed the coach who brought the team into the Premier League. Why? Because he had asked for his for his token of appreciation. And they said, this man wants to be a big man. Let's bring in another coach who was so Chaminuga, and he failed as well, because how can you coach someone when he doesn't have money, when his stomach is not full? You never tell Dave to run when my stomach is empty, and when I'm thinking about my family which is at home. So to the football guys who have the passion, because football is a passion thing. Yeah. You're supposed to love what you do. As an administrator, try to go off the way.
I think I agree with what David is saying, and I think that's also the fate of Ngezi Platinum. Ngezi Platinum could have dominated Zimbabwe after winning that first title. Even the season they didn't win the title, and FC Platinum took it. Because what's happening is you have scenarios where you've got these companies, they have a football team. You know, it's just recreation for the employees. And the team starts doing well. But then when they get into the crunch of it, you're now getting into the PSL. Instead of putting football people, experienced administrators, you just decide who in the company can do this, who in the company can do that. It's very different running a football team to what you're used to in the company. And also, this person, their deliverables are not based on what happens to the football team. They know my balanced scorecard is because of the work that I do at the company, not what happens with the football team. So even if the team goes down, they really are not as affected as, for example, a proper football person. I was fortunate enough to be in the same car coming from Gibo Stadium when Cape United played Bikita Minerals, and Bikita Minerals dominated that team. And I was in the same car with the CEO for Cape United, Motondozo. You could tell how affected he was. You can tell a football person by how they react to a result. But you know, if it was a person who's just been assigned by the company to just go and overlook football, they'll just be like, nah, it will happen, we'll win another game. If we win, it doesn't happen. Because at the end of the day, you're even taking time off their weekend, which they were supposed to get from the company. So I feel sometimes that setup also affects. But at the same time also, and I'm just going to go. And I feel sometimes this is the thing with some of these Eastern teams, to say, because their league, the competition there, I don't think it's at the level of the other regions. So you'll find when the teams then come into the PSL, they struggle. Because you're dominating when you are in your region. But when you come here, you're now with the big boys. And Simba alluded to what has happened with the northern region. It's indicative. When you've got the two teams that were fighting for the title last season, coming into the PSL the very next season, and they're the two teams right at the top fighting for the title. They're also fighting for the title again with a team that only 3 seasons before was in the northern region and has already won the title. It shows you the strength of the region. So I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done, especially when Simba was talking about the national division. Because when the national division comes, then all of a sudden you've got those northern region teams, those southern region teams, those central region teams playing with eastern region.
Actually, I think, when you look at even the Division 1, I followed it and involved with all the regions. I'll tell you that I think the northern region are going to dominate for years and years to come. Why? Because they've got passionate administrators that you don't find in other regions. And most of our clubs thinks that it is the secretariat of, the association, say the central region, eastern region, or southern region, that should do the day-to-day running of your club. I see situations like I'm in groups with administrators just trying to get the results of their teams playing is hectic. And instead of talking about one of their players who would have scored probably a beautiful goal, they'll be talking about Manchester United, Arsenal, and everything. So you find where our football is also lacking is most of these administrators, especially from the company-owned teams, they are not really passionate about football. They are just doing it, just like what Yvonne said, you've just been assigned. They were just looking for somebody who could just take that post and say, this one, we know he follows Manchester United or Arsenal, so just give him, because probably he's keen on football, but not really passionate about wanting to get the best out of that team to get the results. So that's the reason why even when we want to go far in football, our administrators also need to do something better. We will not have good players, we will not have good teams as long as we still have the same caliber of administrators at club level. The only teams that you are going to see dominating for years to come are the teams from the northern region. Even for the individually owned teams outside the northern region, it's going to be difficult because the passion is not at the same level.
Well, it's very interesting stuff, guys. Final weekend of the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League Matchday 4. Let us know who you think is going to be relegated and will survive the relegation zone. We recently, over the weekend, had our Lady Sevens. They travelled to Nairobi, Kenya, where they competed in a Sevens tournament. They finished 7th overall, 1 win in the group stage against Mauritius, a 1 loss against South Africa. And then in the quarterfinals, saw Kenya, the hosts, they lost, but then they won against Ghana to finish 7th place. So, Yvonne, it's a decent result for our Lady Sevens. I was a little bit skeptical going to the tournament. I wasn't quite sure how we would fare. But it's a fair result, I think I would say.
It's fair if you consider the circumstances, but it's not fair for a team, for a country like Zimbabwe. But if you look at the preparations, I remember even just days before they were supposed to leave, I actually received a video from someone who was saying, please post this for us, because apparently the ladies were looking for funding to be able to go. This is like days before they're supposed to go. It says a lot. It's not a tournament that just came from nowhere. And then last minute, you're looking for resources. You need to be in a scenario where there are no excuses. I'm a bit biased, yes, but I will tell you it's the same thing with Zimbabwe women's cricket. Sometimes you can't find excuses because why? Everything is laid out in time. The preparations are done, the ducks are put in a row. But then when you have these ladies that are so passionate and they love the game, they want to play the game, but the administrator's not playing ball, we'll find that we might end up then criticizing the players when results don't come. But those ladies, even to be 7th, like you're saying, is a miracle. It's a very commendable performance considering the preparation, considering what would have been put in. Because you look at some of these teams and the input and the preparation. Look at South Africa. Look at how they dominated the tournament from match day 1. Up until the title, they were losing they were winning 68-0, 47-0, 22-0, 28-0. They clearly dominated the tournament. And we know about how rugby is in South Africa. So for Zimbabwe, a lot of times with our sports, we want to reap where we did not sow. And unfortunately, it will never happen. There are no shortcuts in sport. And unless we are serious, until we get serious administrators, we'll always be those ones just happy with at least it's a decent result.
I agree with what you said. You know, it's a bit disheartening to see that video days before they left. They did have that Sevens challenger against Zambia. We lost that in the final, but again, some good competition before we went to Nairobi. Back on the home soil, the Zimbabwe Volleyball Premier League was hosted over the weekend, the finals, and it was the Black Rounders who won the men's section and the Black Mambas who won the women's section. I was there actually at UZ. It was actually a very fun and festive atmosphere. A nice crowd mustered up. I watched the semi-final between the Black Mambas and the Harare City for the women's section of the tournament, and I think I might just become a volleyball fan. Simba, have you watched much of the volleyball or volleyball in general?
I've always argued that, if there was real marketing in terms of our sport, volleyball, you go to Mozambique, you go to Angola, they pull large crowds. And I think these are the things that should also be happening. Yes, I've been to use it a number of times when they are the games, and they are quite a bigger, crowds. And it's the push that should be coming from the Zimbabwe Volleyball Association. Yes, they've tried, but then when you look at even the Harare Volleyball Association itself, it draws more numbers than the national events. It speaks something about the marketing, about the drive to push a sport to another level. For me, I have heard, these associations cry about lack of visibility, publicity, but in this era of social media, I tell you, you should be doing more, and you can't cry the same thing year in, year out. You can cry this year, but next year you should not be crying about those things. There should be a lot that should be coming from our associations, from administrators. The way that we're talking about administrators in football or even rugby not doing much, the same thing is also happening in other sports. People should do more, because at times you feel for the athletes themselves. They put in a lot of things, but at the end of the day, everyone else wants to be rewarded for doing the job that they're doing.
And it's also sad that last year's champions, Highlanders, couldn't take part because of finances. And it's very sad. And life went on. The defending champions were not at the tournament, and life went on. Like Simba is saying, you'll find in 2025 administrators still crying out because the media won't cover them. It's 2025. You make it work with the resources that you have. I started out when I joined the women's team, and you are media manager. It's already, like cricket is not on the same level in Zimbabwe as football. Like, it's so easy to market football because everybody thinks, you play football. And the first thing I had to do was you start looking and thinking, how best can I navigate this terrain? To the point where sometimes I would even write a story and send it to a journalist and say, it's okay, you can put your byline. Because I just wanted coverage. I would do so many things outside the box to ensure that I get coverage. You've got social media. Why are you not utilizing social media? But you will find in this day and age, people still waiting on journalists. The sad reality about Zimbabwe is people focus more in the newsrooms with football than they do with other sports. So if you're in a minority sport and you want coverage and you want people to come, then you are the one who has the responsibility to go out there to push, to ensure that you are in people's faces. You're the one who's looking for... I've had people approach me and say, you know what, you've got numbers, please push this for us. I was even giving you the example of the rugby video. I'm not going to make a person pay for something that I know has value to the country. So sometimes people don't even make that approach to say, okay, let's look, who are the influential people in our sporting landscape that when we talk to them and bring them on board, they can do these things for no fee at all. There's so many people you really overlook. I had a campaign when I was at ZC where I said, okay, we've got a game, we need coverage, what do I do? And I literally just got 10 jerseys. And I went and I was recording myself giving to influencers, big guys. I had my Nutty O wearing it, I had Jap Razor, I had, my Titi. I even went and I gave her. The next thing, she's posting a video. My Titi posted more videos. I went to Comic Pasta and Nijo. And the thing is, I was expecting resistance. But unfortunately, fortunately, it was so easy because of the approach you give to the person. And I can tell you, out of the 10 people I gave, 8 of them, immediately as soon as I gave them, they were posting, they were tagging people, they were doing skits wearing them for no money at all. Why? Because I sold the story to say, look, this is my situation, and this is a national cause, this is a national team. So what I just want is eyeballs, for people to know there's women's cricket, please come and watch. So I think administrators also, like Simba is saying, they're sitting there and waiting and thinking, oh, Harold is going to come, or Yvonne is going to come, or Fanzone is going to come, or Chronicle is going to come. They're not going to come if you're not pushing, and that's the reality of it.
Yeah, there's the reality of it. And Highlanders not being a part of the tournament this year, it's a little bit of rubbish, which is unfortunate. But it's been rumored in the Warriors camp that Mario Maranika might have said something racially biased towards one of the players. So, Simba, what do you think of this situation? Because right now it's a bit of a he said, she said. No one's really stepped up. But that's been rumored, reports have been made. What are your thoughts on this?
But one thing that is undeniable is that things are not okay, or were not okay in the Warriors camp. Yeah. And from the comments that the coach also made after that game against Algeria, when he said that, the Warriors have been on a 10-game not winning streak, and things had to change. And the way that he was talking about it and saying when there is resistance within the camp. And from his tone, I could tell that it seems like he was also given the powers by the association itself also to ruffle feathers among the players. But, when that happens, yes, of course, when you have got a new sheriff in town, those things do happen, but it is the language that matters. When you talk to the players, it is the language that you also have to tone down, especially when you say some of these things. And I think there was also need for emotional intelligence from him, the coach himself, and also the leaders of the association who are there. Because when he was appointed, already people were talking, and it seems like people didn't really like him. So for you, when you get into that position again, you have to do something to try and endear yourself with the fans, with the players, so that you harmonize things going into the Africa Cup of Nations. Because where we are at the moment, the situation is not really good. The time is not there. It's not on our side. And I saw when you was talking about saying he is in liaison with his assistant and also some coaches back home and some of the legends to say scout for the players that can get into the national team. But now, the time between now and the Africa Cup of Nations, there's no time for trial and error. You can't now start saying we are hunting for new players to come into the team. And for the locally based players, I think, this issue about stage fright. You can't even, in as much as you're a good player playing for triangle, but you can't just be catapulted to say you've been playing for triangle, you've been good. Next thing is the Warriors and you're going to face Egypt. I think the transition will be too much for the players. They will melt under pressure. So I think lots of things happened in that camp, but I thought those are the things that needed cool heads, because if I was involved in that setup, I would know very well whatever I'm going to say is going to have different connotations from the fans, from the media, from everyone else involved. Even the way that I was going to walk. Look, we are talking about the Nice era and the era before. You'd know when the players were going to the airport or were coming out of the dressing room, you'd hear them singing, and you'd know, God knows, Muira will be ahead of them and, leading. But, even when the players were heading to Qatar, you could tell from the, body language that things were not really okay. So for me, if I was part of that setup, those are things I'm going to address.
Yeah. I think obviously coaches, you're allowed to be displeased, disappointed with your players' performance, but it seems as if that Marinika has taken it to a point where he's almost degrading and attacking the players. David, you've been a part of the Warriors setup. How important is it to have a coach that backs your skill and, although you may mess up, tries to uplift you and pushes you to be the best?
In football, it's a game of emotions, one, and football is all about mistakes. Sometimes when I'm playing football, right, I'll be trying to do something to give Yvonne a pass, then I fail, right? It do happens in football. As a coach, what are you supposed to do is to keep on encouraging Dave to improve on his passing ability. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So by the end of the day, if you start criticizing the players who are going to do the job for you, that way you won't get anything by the end of the day. Because if you hammer Dave, every time when you get the ball, you are missing it. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It gets into me. Sometimes I have problems which is happening in my life. Sometimes when me being called to the national team, it doesn't mean everything is all right. Like especially the guys who are playing in Europe, like that guy who plays for Wolves every time. Sometimes that midfielder, I like him because he's one guy who tries to air his views. You understand what I'm saying? Because he's playing for one of the European teams, right? Yeah. The way they are being treated there, and if they come and meet another person now, in talking, you could see that these people, they are not understanding each other. Maybe for the coach who is there, is he an English-speaking coach? Or maybe he's a French? I don't know. Maybe we'll give him the benefit of doubt the way he talks. I don't know. Because we are not in the dressing room. But the most important thing for the coach to get the result is by keep on motivating your players. If they make mistake, motivate them. Same as, you know, I give you a good example when I was working with Yvonne at Oxygen Gym, when he came for the exercises, you know, I used to tell him nothing comes easy. You're supposed to keep on working hard. It might be painful today, but tomorrow if you come, it will be better. If you come the following day, it will be better. And you'll get there. Now you'll get used to what? To the training sessions, right? So same as the coach. You're like a father. You understand what I'm saying? So if you criticize your own, what happens? He will disown you if he's your son. He will disown you if he's your daughter. He will disown you that this father, he doesn't like me. You know, these things will happen in football, right?
I'm very conflicted because at the same time, I feel like national team is not kindergarten. We're not here to baby you. At the same time, I feel like there are certain things you can say and not say. Because for the longest time, we've had a situation almost where to players to come, right? So you will find there are players who used to get away with things that normally they wouldn't. But so there's a bit of hardness that is needed, but I think it also has to be controlled. You know, like player management, to know, like Diva is saying, when to say, at what point. Because especially if you're just being introduced into the team, it's not the time to be cursing each other. It's not the time to be, it's the time to try and understand each other. But at the same time, I feel it's a PR disaster. I think it wasn't handled well. Because the fact that it found its way to the media already is very telling. Because I don't think players just rush to the media before they've tried to get it addressed in some ways. And I feel this guy was put to the slaughter because there were issues already that were there before he came in, related to the contracts for AFCON and all that. And then there's the issue of the coach being fired. Obviously, players might have liked the previous coach and his approach, and then you come in. So if you're intelligent enough, you take your time, get to understand the people. But then you just don't come there, and we've been relying on, for example, July, and now all of a sudden you're saying insulting things about him. That's bad. And the way that also Zifa handled it was bad. Like Simba is saying, we've all been hammering about how camp is not good. Then you post for us a video of the players going to Qatar where we can even tell this is not the Warriors vibe that we always see.
And they haven't released a statement or
no,
something.
they had
to
yesterday.
acknowledge
They
that,
had Marvelous Nakamba saying no, there was no racism. Like the firefighting is very weak, because when you firefight knowing that players do have relationships, and they have connections with people within the media. So certain things this is a lesson I learned when I was at Dynamos, to say no matter how good you might think you are at PR, but players have relationships with media. So sometimes there's an incident that happens at training that you don't want to go out, but within 10 seconds, the media already knows because somebody's busy texting, hey, Simba Chiminya, we are training right now. We're not. I had one incident where you're like, no, we're planning not to train. We're in the bus, we're going to training, but we're not training. And it's a disaster. So how you react to it determines where you go. And unfortunately, this is where it's been very weak on Zifa's part. And the firefighting has been very weak, because these things will happen. Players will have grievances. And sometimes as media, Simba will attest to it, there's certain things you hear, and then you brush off, you say, no, it's not the time. So it's not like Yvonne just wakes up in the morning and thinks, I'm going to bash. You've got a lot of things that you've been hearing and leaving and hearing and leaving, and gets to a point where you're like, now I think I need to speak. Yeah. Why is this happening? And then when people then speak and you know it's truth, don't deny with things that are not facts. Because if you didn't do a press release saying, oh, Chirewa was called by his team, and you haven't realized that Wolves have just posted a video saying players are going to meet the coach next week, but you've told us he's wanted right now, that's a pure disaster. Because when you do your firefighting, do it in a way where you're not exposed, where you don't say things that people can be able to see and say, a very intelligent person, you don't even have to see videos. When you see those pictures of the players training, you can tell this is not the teenage hot debate. This is not how Divine Lunga is. This is not how God knows Murira is. July, like I've been looking at the latest pictures at the airport. July looks sad. Like really sad. Like this is just me looking at the pictures. Like this is not how he normally is. Very positive, very grounded in his beliefs, always very positive, but you can tell. So I feel it was just how it was managed, how the PR was managed, which is bad, because things like this happen, guys, every day in teams, in camps. David will tell you there's so many things that would have been happening in teams that they're playing, but they go on match day, they play, and fans don't even know. There's been a bust up at training, and it's unfortunate that now with social media, it goes viral, and you have to contain it.
Yeah, so a lot of rumors, a lot of rubbish coming out of the Warriors camp. This international friendlies segment has been a bit of a disaster this past match. We are recording this ahead of the Qatar game, so there still is a bit of time for redemption, but over and all, it has been a disaster, this campaign. Simba, there is another rumor. We recently spoke about ZIF extending the PSL league to 20 teams. There's rumor that there might be an addition to that. It's over to you.
Yeah, there's a rumor that the teams are supposed to be meeting. They are supposed to be a virtual meeting, but they are now meeting, physically in Harare after their 2-day workshop and for the strategic workshop. So there's a rumor that probably they might vote to say we are going to extend the number of teams, and actually nobody is going to be relegated this year, and they will play with 22 teams next year, and 6 will be relegated next year. So it's just rumor probably is that they want to accommodate everyone, and if they were going to say 20 teams were going to be included, and who was going to be relegated, and and see how the log standings is at the moment. You never know who is going to go down, who is going to survive, and even the top guns are also probably going to go down. So it's just a rumor, but it's a rumor that can also happen because, look, we used to have 16 teams, and the constitution was tampered with, and before that happened, we had Peter Dube being the chairman of the PSL, and he was suspended. The push was coming from Zifa then, and he was suspended, and we ended up with 18 teams. So getting to 20 teams or 22 teams, it's not something that is new, because we have even people that are said to being assigned to look at the loopholes within the constitution that can be manipulated so that these things can be a reality.
Yeah, obviously looking at the 22 teams, a normal football pundit can say that this looks like a ploy to protect Dynamos should matchday 34 go wrong. Is that also what you're thinking?
Not only Dynamos alone, there are a lot of teams that are involved in these SIPs. And look, when you look at the log standings, there are a number of teams that are involved that can go down, and that have been part of the tradition of local football. So a lot is happening behind the scenes.
And also, I want to say, I remember we'd had an election, a ZIFA election, and a lot of things happened, a lot of partnerships happened. And who are some of the people that vote during the elections? It's chairmen of these clubs. So sometimes there will come a time where payback comes. And I did you a favor. Are you going to do me a favor? Because relations are made. So I feel like sometimes it's also protecting the people that also protected you when you wanted to come in. There's a lot of politics that happens behind the scenes, so much that you can't tell. Is this a ploy to protect the team? Is this a ploy to protect individuals? Is this a cartel? Is this what? Football is so murky at the moment. Zimbabwean football is so murky. It's very difficult to, and you also don't want to defame if you can't prove. Because a lot of it you know for a fact. But in prove, you can't say. But all I can say is we are in very, very, very dirty times.
Because even though, like myself, I'm quite surprised with the way our economy is at the moment. Is not healthy. And if you want to rewind the tape, like now we have 18 teams, and most of these teams, they are struggling financially, and our sponsorship is not that lucrative, right? You get what I'm saying? So now if you put 22 teams, you're putting again more problems to the sponsors, because like now they are struggling, not struggling because of the economy, right? How are they going to reimburse the money when the season is now on, right? Like the season is over. This team was in number 8 in 22. We're giving them this money. this team was on number 21, we're giving them this money. I think what were they supposed to do, they were supposed to sit down and maybe put this into place maybe 2027, 2028, not like instant. This is not a photo, like I take you now, then you get it tomorrow. You get what I'm saying?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. If it wasn't, ground. Because if it wasn't, usually a suggestion like that would have been for relegation for next season. To say, how best can we ensure that in the coming season, the game is played enough for us to then have 20 teams. It wasn't supposed to be something that instantly we're like, now, what do we do? Who are we protecting? What do we need to do? It then shows you that the football is not happening on the pitch. Yeah. The football that is happening is not even considering the issues that have got to do with what you're saying, David. Transport, accommodation, all that stuff. It's a whole lot more happening behind the scenes. And that's the unfortunate thing. And sadly, that's where our game is.
Yeah, like now, if
you scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Like 22 teams. I think Zimbabwe will be the first country to have 22 teams in the league. In the world, I think, because I've never come across this. Maybe it is there, I don't know. But we need to be helped. Because by the end of the day, we want these youngsters to get something by the end of the day when they're playing for these teams.
42 games in a season.
42 games in a season. You get what I'm saying? There are cups as well. Chibuk will be coming in.
But I just hope the vote doesn't work.
No.
Because even for me, I'm worried about virtual becoming physical. Because a lot happens, guys. Physical. When people meet, a lot of deliberations happen behind the scenes. So that's my worrying thing when that happens, when you change from virtual to physical. I then know
I've
never say
I've
never.
Never seen a gathering of football where something has been rumored and it changes.
Yeah.
Because what I've seen with our administrators, they will just follow the wind.
Yes.
Remember what happened with the Ziva elections when some of them were promised some things and, they kept on asking and the vote was swayed because of those things.
You can never say never in Zimbabwe at the moment. Akuna sips at the moment. Nothing is impossible in Zimbabwean football. You can expect. We can even wake up with 26 teams. It doesn't like I'm no longer shocked. Because I know a lot is happening behind the scenes. And I know a lot is changing. And our focus as fans is on attacking each other, attacking media, attacking what. But we're not seeing that the direction that our football has taken in the last year or 2 years, we are not getting back from it. And a lot of the decisions that happen, you look and you think, are these football decisions? Are these based on football decisions? In my experience and having traveled, and that's why sometimes I feel like when I'm defending, I almost seem like I'm protecting players. Why? Because when you've traveled as much as I've done with national teams, and you know what these players go through behind the scenes, and you know how much you've swept under the rug. People think the journalists just report everything. There is so much, guys, that happens when you're on the road, where you ask yourself, I'm a Zimbabwean first before I'm a journalist. And you say, this I will ignore. But it's there. You sweep it under the rug because you feel like at this moment it will probably destroy than like make things. It's the same. I can give you an example even when the whole scandal with Luminista happened in Swaziland. And we knew about it the night before we had a game. And you ask yourself, so if I tell Zimbabwe this is what's happening in Swaziland, how does it help? Why don't I wait until the game is done and I report on it? There's some incidences where you actually say, this really need to make, because it would destroy. And there's a lot happening in our game. And there is no going back. From now going forward, our football has just changed.
Yeah, well, it's rumored with just 9 match days left, it's a possible rumor that we could, the 26th season could see 22 teams in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League. So just 9 games left and just 2 game times left. Congratulations to last week's winners for that game time. The graphic will pop up on the screen. But this game time, the question is, how many games are Dynamos currently unbeaten in the PSL, excluding matchday 34 and the Chibuku Super Cup? Obviously, with just 1 game left, they've had a great run under Kaindu. How well do you know that run has been? But thank you to David, Yvonne, Simba, for all of you sitting in the fan zone with me. It's been a great episode. If you guys have enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, the same thing. But a WhatsApp channel, you name it, links will be all in the bio. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.